All right, they finally released the specs and the release date for the Surface Book 3. Are you excited? I am. I'm disappointed in a few ways, but I am excited. So let's go ahead and talk about it. With the Surface Book 3 coming out, they've talked about the recent specs, and it's basically been an internal spec bump that has changed all the processors on the inside of the computer, but the outside is the same. So the question is, should you upgrade if you have the Surface Book 2 or Surface Book 1 right now? Or should you keep your current Surface Book? Or if you are new to the Surface line, should you get a Surface Book? And who would I recommend it to? I've used the Surface Book now to run my business. I've used it to do video editing. I've used it to live stream. And I'm going to just talk about the pros and the cons, especially with the new processor that's coming out right now. What are the pros and cons? What makes it better? What makes it worse than it is? Now, one thing that's obviously important is the new price point is $15.99. I don't know if you remember, but when the Surface Book 2 came out, the price initially, I believe it was more than $14.99, but $14.99 was the edition that did not come with the dedicated graphics. So now the version that doesn't come with the dedicated graphics is $15.99. So technically the price has gone up $100, but I'll show you the sweet spot where prices have actually gone down, and that is with the 15-inch. The 15-inch has actually gone down in price because when it first came out, the 15-inch, when I bought it, even with 256 gigabytes of SSD hard drive space, it was $24.99. Now that same one is the same entry-level 15-inch, and it's $22.99. So even though the 13-inch went up in price and has the same specs, I believe the 15-inch is a better deal. That's why it went out of stock so quickly. But if we look at the 13-inch model with the i7, that one is $19.99, and it comes with the 1650 instead of the 1050 like the previous 13-inch model. Now, I've had both machines. I've had the 13-inch Surface Book, the very first one, because they didn't have a 15-inch. Then I had the 13-inch Surface Book with performance base. And then when they came out with the Surface Book 2, I really just wanted to try something different. It had a bigger screen, and it was a little bit different than my review of the original Surface Book. And as you can see in this review, I have probably medium-sized hands, and the tablet portion is still kind of big. I think if I had to do it all over again, I would just get the 13-inch. And now I have a gaming laptop as my desktop replacement. So if I need to move that up and downstairs, I can move the gaming laptop around. Then I can take the Surface Book out of the house with me, because what I noticed is with the 15-inch, even though it's only a half a pound heavier than the 13-inch, it actually just doesn't feel as good in tablet mode carrying it around. Even though the tablet is not that much heavier, it might even be about the same weight, the tablet portion. The issue is that it's so big that you almost never want to use it in tablet mode, whereas the 13-inch is better in tablet mode when you detach. Now, for writing on the screen though, if you do it in studio mode where you can flip it around, and then you see where I'm holding it, if you put it back on backwards and fold it down, for actually writing on the screen, if you're using a desk, I like the 15-inch because then you have more space to draw or sketch. I write for my business consulting when I'm doing webinars and live streams. I'll write on the screen. Now I have the Surface Go right here that I was going to use as a stopgap, but the screen is so small that I just use the screen to just jot quick notes or doing a signature, things like that. It's great for. But if I'm going to do artwork or I want to sketch something, the Surface Go is probably better for someone like a kid, or if you're in college and you're just using it for notes, for writing notes, it might be okay if you don't put a case on it, and it'll be comfortable. But the bigger screen real estate, I think, is very helpful if you're going to be writing a lot on the screen and you're a professional artist. Then I would get the 15-inch just for that screen size, because the screen size is very important. But if you want to just consume media and you're reading ebooks, watching YouTube videos, I think the 13-inch is perfect. I still haven't decided which one I want. The 15-inch sells out faster on the Microsoft site, but I'll probably end up getting it from Best Buy or Microsoft. Not sure which one. But the 15-inch tablet portion is amazingly light. I mean, it almost feels like paper. You can't believe you're holding a 15-inch screen in your hand that's that thin and light, and it has a whole computer. Obviously, it does not have the dedicated graphics in the screen, so you're not going to be detaching while you're opening Photoshop or while you have Photoshop open. That's the problem. So what I did, my hack around this, is on my desk, I would leave the screen turned in studio mode, so backwards. So for example, when you see that in laptop mode, you have the screen facing you, I turn it the other way when I detach it, and then I put it on the laptop and close it. And then I turn everything around and have the screen closest to me. So that way I never have to actually change it. I leave it like that 80% of the time. Even when I leave the house, I'll put like a pad on top of it and put it in my laptop bag. And I'll even have a Bluetooth keyboard where I'm connecting it like that in studio mode, where I would just leave it like that, because I noticed I used it more when I had it in studio mode. I would use the touchscreen more, and then on top of that, I get full battery life because now I'm still connected to the base, and I could have it almost set up like a stand. The base is a stand, and I could use a Bluetooth keyboard in conjunction with using the base for the graphics and for the battery. So that was a real game changer for me when I started doing that. It is kind of a little bit scary, because if the screen is on the outside, then it's not as protected, but I was very careful with mine. The actual foam that's in between the keyboard and the screen, when you get it, I put that on the outside of the screen, and then I would put it in its own tight a laptop sleeve. Then I would put that laptop sleeve inside of a laptop bag. So then as soon as I took it out, the screen was right there. I could use the touch screen without stretching too far, and I had another small Bluetooth Logitech keyboard that I actually used as my keyboard, and then I had a separate mouse. Obviously, then I'm not using the touchpad or the keyboard, but honestly, that screen and that touch screen is the best part of the Surface Book. And then on top of that, having that graphics power, so I could edit videos while I'm at Starbucks. I could crunch through PowerPoints, through Excel, large Excel spreadsheets with a lot of our data in it. I could do anything I needed. And the only thing I would say is that the Surface Book 2, the 15-inch version with the 1060, it did a lot better at live streaming, because even though these have the same processor, which is the 1065 G5 and G7, they actually aren't the same, meaning that in the 15-inch, you have that 10th gen i7, but it's going to be at 25 watts most of the time, whereas the 13-inch will throttle down. It won't have the same TDP, which is the power that it draws. It won't have the same amount of power. It's the same processor though, but it's the fact that the 13-inch is smaller, so they won't let that one get as hot. Now, obviously, if you go with the 32 gigabytes of RAM, you're looking at $27.99, $29.99, and $33.99 for 1 terabyte and 2 terabytes, respectively. So those are very expensive. And honestly, I would not get those. I don't care if you're a CAD person, because to me, the screen, the touch screen, is actually why you get this device, and the fact that it can detach and it has the graphics card. So if you need a lot of power and you really don't need the touch screen, you could just get a high powered laptop. You can get a MacBook Pro if you want a Windows. There's the Dell XPS. I have a Sager laptop right now with 40 gigabytes of RAM, i7 9750H, everything, and including the RAM upgrade, it was only $1,200. So to be honest, I think the sweet spot is the base model 15-inch, because it has the 1660 Ti, which is a little bit faster than the old graphics card in the Surface Book 2. The base model has 256 gigabytes of hard drive space. And if you need more, you can add a SD card into the slot. You can add those small ones that sit flush, and you could get a UH2 one, and it's pretty fast for backing up things. And you could upload things to the cloud. Because at $22.99, that's actually cheaper than the last Surface Book 2 15-inch when it first came out. As a matter of fact, the Surface Book 2 15-inch was still going for $2,200 without these spec bumps. So this new one is a good deal, because it used to be $24.99, I believe. That's what I paid for it. So that's what I would do. On the 13-inch level, it's a toss-up between the base model, if you don't need graphics, if you're not doing video editing or CAD or engineering that uses a graphics card, then the base model is only $15.99. But if you're going to get the base model, maybe you should get the base model of the Surface Book 2, because you can probably get it for $1,000 once it goes down in price over the next month or two. So those are your options. Now, if you are a serious engineer and you need the Quadro card, obviously that's going to be a $3,000 laptop, but then that would be the only laptop you would be using. You wouldn't have another laptop. It's just unfortunate they don't have Thunderbolt 3, so now you're not going to be able to connect it to any other devices other than with USB-C. Maybe you're going to do hard drives. That might be fast enough, but you're not going to connect it to any external hard drives or graphics cards that are super fast. But honestly, most people, if they really needed something like that, they would probably just get a dedicated workstation desktop for most people. If you need to be versatile and you're an artist, I think the base model of the 15-inch would be perfect for you, because the 15-inch gives you more than enough space, real estate, as far as screen real estate. And I can't wait to get this in my hand so I can run some tests on it. I'm going to run all the tests. I'm not sure which one I should get yet. Let me know in the comments which one you're interested in. Are you interested in real world test of the 13-inch or the 15-inch, because obviously the 15-inch starts at $22.99. The Quadro edition of the 15-inch is $3,000. So which one interests you the most? What do you think? Let us know what you think. We're going to do more reviews. And obviously, I've had almost every one of these ever since the first one. And I love the form factor. And there's really nothing else out there like it, even though I wish it still had a mobile CPU like the MacBook Pros and my gaming laptops and the Dell XPS line. I wish it had that processor, but honestly, the processor is in the screen. Can you believe it? It's in the screen like an iPad Pro or a tablet, but it's a full Windows computer. You can run Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, CAD programs, engineering programs, and you can render out large files. It's just not going to be as fast, but it's not going to be as slow as the last series. It's going to be about 20% faster. So something that maybe took 30 to 40 minutes before and you felt like maybe you should be using your desktop, now instead of taking that long, it might take 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So it's still faster. So let us know what you think. We're going to keep talking about this and keep testing different things. We're going to do RAM tests, rendering tests. So make sure you subscribe and like this, and we will see you on the next one. If you're interested in learning how to make money with technology, our new channel we're launching soon is called Make Money with Tech. So keep an eye out for that as well. Flo signing out. Let's see what happens next, and let's see what our test